The board game Imperial Struggle offers a revisionist glance of the 7 Years' War, which would culminate in over 1 million dead. It was a war of unparalleled scale and bloodshed. How did it impact the fates of Imperial France, England, and the globe? Its aftermath would seal the fate of colonies across the world. This is Legendary Tactics. In this third part of a 4-part series looking at the battles outlined in the board game Imperial Struggle, we focus in on the bloodiest conflict yet, the 7 Years' War. What were its main events? What events and cards are highlighted in the game? And how could they be used to further the success of the imperial powers of France and England, the two main players of the war? The 7 Years' War was a continuation of the War of Austrian Succession and was fought primarily between Britain and France. It was fought on all global theaters, also illustrated in Imperial Struggle, including India, Europe, where Prussians and Britons fought the Austrians and French, continental US, coastal Africa, and the Caribbean. The war was fought principally for land in the global colonies. Britain sought to expand west into the French lands in North America. These lands were seen as a gold mine of raw materials. Britain saw these resources as great potential wealth, with the import of British goods into the Americas and the extraction of the valuable resources brought back to Europe. With Britain's aggressive moves in North America, France feared the threat would extend to its valuable sugar colonies of the Caribbean. The real battles of the war were fought in New York State and Canada. One of the most infamous wars was the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. This would see British defeat the French and capture Quebec. The indigenous natives supported both sides as well, but with more leaning to the British. In the Caribbean, the sugar plantations were the gem everyone was fighting for. It saw mostly naval battles. However, disease also ran wild, killing many. In India, battles raged between the French and the English East trading companies. Control here by the French or English would corner the market in the areas of silk and cotton resources. The British East India Company, led by Robert Clive, would see wins in numerous battles to secure control of Bengal and exclude it from French infiltration. This would lead to a full British control of all India. The war would end with the Treaty of Paris, signed in 1763, with the French being sidelined in Caribbean, India, and North America. Although France was weakened, so was Britain. The English spent a lot of money, which led to great debt, with further fallout to come in the following years. Another fallout from this war was the systemic deportation of French Acadians to Louisiana. They would become known as Cajuns. In Imperial Struggle, the 7 Years' War looks at 4 specific theaters. Atlantic dominance. This focuses on the naval battles which surrounded the Caribbean, Europe, and North America. It ended with Britain asserting its naval dominance of the high seas. Third, Carnatic War. This focuses on the map of India. It was fought between French and British, primarily between the years 1757 and 1763. Again, this would result in British victory. French-Indian Wars. This focuses on the map of North America and the Caribbean. This pitted the colonies of British America against those of New France, each side supported by military units and its Native American allies. At the start of the war, the French colonies had a population of roughly 60,000 settlers, compared with the 2 million British colonists. The outnumbered French particularly depended on the natives. Prussian Wars. Focusing on the map of Europe, there were numerous battles fought between Prussians and Austrian forces. This was a rejoinder to the War of Austrian Succession and the struggle for the supremacy of Central Europe. Austria and Saxony also engaged in numerous conflicts. Prussia also engaged with Sweden in the north as well. Cards. There are numerous cards which specifically relate to the 7 Years' War. They include Debt Crisis. Debt Crisis focuses on the high costs of victory which the English crown would have to deal with following the war. It was also the substantial factor for the causes of unrest that would result due to increased taxes the English would levy on its colonies. Cook and Bougainville. These were two wayward explorers for the English and French respectively. They would see battles in the 7 Years' War and support their respective countries throughout. Native American alliances. Mentioned earlier, this card reminds us of the Native American alliances that were formed throughout the war for both the French and the English side. The English were able to secure more support from the Native Americans than the French. Tropical disease is a reminder of the extreme death tolls taken by French, English, and Spanish fleets in the Caribbean due to tropical disease. Some of these diseases included malaria, cholera, yellow fever, and dengue. If you enjoyed this walkthrough of the 7 Years' War and its implications in the game Imperial Struggle, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the fourth and final concluding war, the War of Independence. This is Legendary Tactics.